Welcome to Dungeons & Dragons and Dining and Dudes, a podcast where a group of friends get together and play D&D. Featuring an actual play and a homebrew campaign, we celebrate not only D&D, but everything that goes with it. Hosting, cooking, playful banter, few drinks, and much more. Thanks for joining us, and please visit us at dndanddnd.com for more information. Sotheby heading south to Swiftport to check on his hometown and family, the group decides to head west, catching a ship from a small town called Talos Oasis. Here they will be able to sail to the island of Minima. Unlike the kingdoms of Centra and Arborea, Minima has no central rule. Made up of 4 distinct locations, Minima is controlled by individual governors of each location. There's the entertainment capital, called Kalor, the trade center, Merchant's Haven, the dwarven capital, Nenbadir, and the exporting town of Anotada. Kalor is run by Maxwell von Solaire, known as the Entertainer. He is a man who has helped turn the place from a desert town into a city that shines at night, filled with gambling, entertainment, relaxation, terrific combat spectacles, and much more, should you have the coin to spend. Arriving from Talos Oasis, after a couple days, the group decides to seek some shelter and splurge on some higher amenities, treating themselves to a soft bed after a few days of sailing. As they all lie in bed, drifting off to sleep in separate rooms, they once again experience a jointed dream. This time, however, it's not Urza that haunts them, but someone or something else. Their very essence being transported to a world they have never seen before. They stand on floating rocks, looking out upon space and time. As they float effortlessly, they hear a voice comfort them. "Be not afraid, my friends, for I am here to lend aid and help this conflict between my children end." Standing before them, they see a figure masked in white and gold light. "I bring you to my home, where I've watched your kind for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years." She tells them that her name is Statera, and that she has watched the conflict between her son Order and daughter Chaos. First being born to create a balance to her world, she explains that her daughter Chaos has lost her way. Unfortunately, it is beyond her power to interfere directly, as she puts her full faith and power in both her children. Knowing that the delicate balancing act has already shifted in favor of Chaos, she started blessing special champions with the gift. While this has worked for some time, it is no longer enough. She tells the group that in order to stop Chaos, they will need to do more than simply close gates and stomp out chaotic monsters, as that only delays the inevitable, and has happened before. She mentions a place where chaos magic grows the largest, like a link between worlds that allow chaos to continue to siphon off energy from the common plane. She tells them to find a location of energy, a place where none may go. She implores them to grow stronger, and that she will tell them when the time is right and when to act. Continue to inspire those to do good, to trust her that when the time comes, she will do all that she can to protect them. Waking up, they are unsure if they experienced a dream or something more real. Knowing that Snake's life is still in danger and a newly discovered gate was reported in Nenbadir, the group continues onward. Searching for information on Van Sleekry, the group decides to spread out amongst the city of Kalor, thinking the Entertainer might be someone who can help. While talking around town, purchasing goods and partaking in the nightlife of gambling, they come across a place known as the Fighting Pit, a place that allows for bare-knuckle fighting in a pit covered in traps. No shields, no armor, just pure melee fighting. To the winner, 1,000 gold pieces, and more importantly, a night of dining with the Entertainer himself. Feeling confident in his abilities, Tyus signs up and is told to get a good night's rest. Reporting back the next day, Tyus enters the contest. Letting them know he can have one additional person in his corner, he chooses Tyrannus. Prior to the first fight, one of the officials walk over to Tyus, carrying a small needle. "Sorry, sir, all contestants need to provide a small blood sample." Hesitant at first, Tyus asks why. "To make sure no one is under the influence of any magical potions, sir," the official responds. Reluctantly, Tyus agrees, allowing a small vial to fill up with his blood. After a few moments, the official gives him the thumbs up, and Tyus moves out into the opening. Greeted by cheers and loud drums, Zamir and Snake watch from the stands, which sit above them, while Tyrannus cheers him from behind the gate. Tyus' first fight is with a human monk, short in stature, but nimble. A man by the name of Mackley McHenry, Unfortunately for Mac, Tyus catches him with a swift elbow to the face and makes quick work. Feeling confident, Tyus takes a bow and prepares for his second fight. Resting for an hour or so, Tyus proceeds to his second fight. A woman by the name of Ripley O'Hara. As tall as Tyus, she stays with him toe-to-toe. As Ripley catches him a few times, Tyus goes on the defensive. Using the arena to his advantage, Tyus notices small flames that change from red to blue to green, each color noting a specific hazard that can be triggered. Waiting for the flames to change to green, he jumps out of the way, pushing Ripley into the path of several arrows that strike her decisively. Prepared to throw the final blow to a wounded and battered Ripley, he instead chooses to take her by the hand to lift her up. Seeing this type of sportsmanship, the arena responds with thunderous applause. A bit bruised up from the bout, he prepares for his final fight. As Tyrannus heals Tyus all that he can over the last several bouts, he moves into the arena for the final fight. This time, against a much larger and more intimidating foe. An orc by the name of Club's Chapel, barbarian that towers over Tyus and delivers the first blow that splits his lip and sends him backwards. Again, using the arena to his advantage, he watches the torches go blue and slips out of the way of the blast of magical ice that causes the orc to stumble. Using this to his advantage, Tyus connects with multiple hits, causing the orc to be off balance. He uses the momentum as he hears the crowd cheer for him. Feeling his adrenaline pump, he connects with one punch, then another, then a knee, and finally an uppercut. The orc, dazed but still standing, goes to lunge at Tyus but misses. Using the orc's own momentum, Tyus jumps into the air and delivers a punch right to one of the orc's tusks, cracking it in the process. With that, he goes down, and the arena thunderously applauds the efforts of both men, and Tyus as the victor. Spending the evening celebrating, they are summoned to the entertainer's dining room. Located inside Calor's main casino, which features different games of chance and plenty of vacationers gambling their money away, the group is taken to a dimly candlelit back room. Plates of warm bread, meats, and cheeses are spread across a large table as the waiter tells them to make themselves comfortable, and Master Solaire will be with them shortly. Joining them minutes later, Maxwell walks into the room. Tall, slender, with long gray hair and eyes, he walks with grace and purpose. Sitting at the head of the table, he pours himself a glass of red wine and smiles, congratulating Tyus on his winnings and welcoming them to Calor. Asking how they are enjoying the city, the group wastes no time in telling them why they are there. As they mention the gate in Nenbadir, Maxwell tells them that he's recently received reports of another gate north of town. Thinking their meeting is kismet, he tells them that he'll get them information on Vance, as well as more gold, should they help the city out. Starting to get frustrated by the number of gates they seem to be closing, they reluctantly agree. As they end their meal, Maxwell extends his thanks and leaves. As they walk out of the casino, Tyus spots one of the casino workers walking into the back room, and as the door swings open, he spots something very familiar: vials of blood. The same vials they used when taking the combatants' blood for the fighting tournament. Concerned, he tells the group back at the tavern. Not wanting to jump to conclusions, they keep their eyes on the gate, as well as keeping a lookout for anyone suspicious. They call it a night and agree that a rest is needed before the upcoming challenges ahead. Sleeping in separate rooms, the tavern is quiet, but the nightlife of Calor keeps the noise consistent outside. Having no trouble sleeping in rough conditions, Snake finds himself in a deep sleep. As he dreams, he hears something, a small, noticeable clicking. Before he can react, realizing he's no longer dreaming, two large hands cover his mouth, while another set fixate a knife upon his throat.
We have this place surrounded, Drasko. Make any sound and it won't just be you who dies tonight. After all, the boss would rather take care of you himself,
a voice whispers. With that, Snake is whisked off into the night. Waking up and noticing Snake is gone, and unlike him to leave without saying anything, the group begins asking questions. Using their newly acquired gift, Zamir and Tyrannus use some of Snake's belongings that were left in his room to pick up a faint scent of lavender. Asking around town, they find a young woman selling flowers. When inquiring about lavender, she mentions that one particular man always buys out her supply as soon as she receives them, uses them for a perfume. Asking the location of this man's home, she points them to the south, a quieter, more remote location of Calor, slightly away from most of the city's entertainment. Continuing to follow the scent, Tyus summons a familiar to make his way into one of the houses. Seeing multiple men sitting about, they charge into the door. As the fight ensues, they see a man perched in the corner who fires a shot at the group. Missing, he throws a smoke bomb and escapes, leaving the other men to fend for themselves. Making easy work of the remaining 3 bandits, the group finds a switch that opens up a small lair in the basement. Following the path, they find Snake, now knowing his real name is Drasco, locked up, bound, and unconscious. Helping him come to and getting him up on his feet, they discover a book addressed to Alfredo de Soler. They take this with them, wanting to show Maxwell when the time is right. Before doing so, they make their way north of Calor, on the lookout for 2 hill giants, the latest chaotic monsters sighted. The giants, a bit dumb and erratic, pose little threat to the group, as they use distance as their ally. Sitting back during parts of the fight, the giants mistaken each other as enemies and do a majority work for them, while Tyus closes the gate. Tired and ready to move on, the group head back to Calor, asking to talk to Maxwell. Handing Alfredo's book to Maxwell, he lets the group know that he is also known as the Gecko, and he was Vance's second-in-command until the Thieves' Guild was abandoned. Knowing they kidnapped Snake, he tells them that he won't be safe until Vance is taken care of. He remarks that one of the governors of Merchant's Haven, Rayhan Thornworth, has bragged about being the one to take down the guild recently, so he's surprised that Alfredo is still out and about. As promised, he gives the group additional gold. Before leaving, they confront Maxwell about the blood. He confesses about his vampiric background, telling them he came to Calor over a decade ago as it was the perfect cover for his lifestyle. A city that operates at night is much more convenient for a vampire. The arena, the perfect sustenance for his bloodlust. Only specific people within the circle know the truth. Swearing he has no intention of preying upon the innocent, the group leaves Maxwell and his secret safe. Setting out to Merchant's Haven, Snake travels heavily cloaked and obscured to avoid any and all suspicion. One such case occurs as the group crosses a bridge while 4 men wait on the other side. Asking them if they've seen the man on the bounty sheet, Tyrannus and Tyus respond with no, changing the conversation, talking about Tyus' recent winnings at the arena. Happy to meet the most recent champion, Snake is able to sneak around them, waiting for the group down the road. Upon arriving at Merchant's Haven, they notice the city has plenty of hustle and bustle. Unlike Calor, Haven is pretty much predicated on the business of making coin. Whether that be setting up goods to be shipped out to Anatata, or around different parts of Minima, the world's best weapons, items, and clothing can be found here for sale. Not wanting to attract attention, the group takes care not to mention Vance's name in public, while Snake continues to shroud himself from the spotlight, hiding at a tavern known as the Endless Chalice. Spending time in the city, the group takes turns talking to both governors to ask them what they know about the guild. First, Rayhan Thornworth, the man known to have taken down the guild in a massive coordinated attack across town. Through this coordination, many of the thieves who were part of the guild were captured during heists that were planned throughout the city. It turns out this attack is what led Snake to almost get captured months ago in a heist that would see him trying to steal Rayhan's family jewel. The attack where he was sold out and framed by Vance, the very reason Snake fled Minima and ended up in Transitus. Rayhan is more than happy to share this story with some new adventurers he has never met before. In fact, it seems all Rayhan wants to do is talking about bringing the downfall of the Thieves' Guild. On the other side of town, they talk to the other governor, Ciro Abella. Younger, more flamboyant, he tells the group about Rayhan's conquest, revealing that he won't shut the hell up about it. Not learning much about Vance from Ciro, they head back to the Endless Chalice to check in with Snake. There, they see one of the men who they met while traveling to Merchant's Haven. Drunk and alone, he reveals that his name is Lucas. Young and naive, he strikes up a conversation with Tyrannus, complaining that the group always tries to ditch him, even though he tries to be useful. Holding back tears, whether from alcohol or from disappointment and depression, Tyrannus tells him that he's a good person and to walk his own path. He doesn't need a group of mercenaries to show him his worth. Lucas thanks him and tells him that this group was always talking about a large man in a red cloak. It's who they work for and why they were looking for that man on the bounty poster. Tyrannus keeps this information and shares it with the crew. On the opposite side of the bar, a larger orc by the name of Grug Mulash sits beside Zamir. As he stares at him, Zamir tries to recall where he's seen this man before.
Little Zamir, the orc says. How good of you to drop in and see old Grug.
Suddenly, Zamir realizes that this is the orc that he first learned his roguish trade from. Before Tyrannus and Zamir became brothers, Zamir lived a short life of thievery outside of Centrum. That is, before Tyrannus pulled him out.
This here is little Zamir, the half-orc who pissed himself on his very first heist,
The orc says, laughing and drinking while he tells the story.
All he had to do was pick one little lock, but instead got scared and wet himself all over the place. Cost me 500 gold pieces for that little stunt, it did.
While Zamir is flustered about this meeting, he tells Grug that he's turned over a new leaf, and he's not the rogue he once knew. Hearing this, Grug is disappointed, and tells Zamir that now that the old thieving guild is dismantled, it's time for a new one to take its place. Zamir asks him about Vance, saying there are rumors he's still alive and well. Grug shirks at this, letting him know he've overheard Rayhan talking about a special coin.
Every thief of the guild had their own coin, minted with their own likeness on it,
he says.
Once your face is etched on a coin, you're a member for life. That coin is sacred, and any good master thief would rather die than let someone else claim it.
Hearing this, the group decides to see if they can find that coin in Rayhan's possession. Zamir tells Grug he's sorry for leaving all those years. Grug looks at Tyrannus, knowing he's in good hand, and he tells him to take care of the boy. Before heading to Rayhan's, the group decides to try and find this large man in a red cloak northeast of town. After some questioning, they find an unassuming house. Summoning a familiar, Tyus stakes out the place, verifying no one is there. Avoiding a few traps, they are able to pick the lock of a particular chest with a diary in it. Unable to make a majority of the phrases, Snake and Zamir notice that it's written in thieves' cant. Though rusty, they make out a few phrases that talk about Rayhan and Vance's coin, and how Vance has become a castrated dog ever since agreeing to Rayhan's terms, selling out a majority of the Thieves Guild in order to live the rest of his life free. Deciphering the text, the group continues to search Vance's house and comes across a passage that leads them into an underground lair. Descending down, small torches light the way to an open hall. As their dark vision begins to bring certain features to light, the group hears spontaneous clapping.
And I went to all that work trying to bring you here. You end up finding me all by yourself,
a voice says from the darkness. As he snaps his fingers, an area in front of them lights up, and a large man in a red cloak is seen sitting on a large stone throne.
Snake, or is it Drasco? What name do you go by nowadays?
Vance chuckles to himself.
Please, step forward. Let's talk this out, he continues.
Not wanting to play into his hand, the group decides to stay put, knowing the room is probably trapped. Say when, Zamir whispers to Snake. Snake nods, and without warning, Zamir fires a shot across the dimly lit room, missing Vance.
I wanted to offer you a seat at the table.
I suppose that was foolish of me, Vance says. Alfredo, now, he yells. In an instant, both Vance and Alfredo fling 2 sets of daggers, each of the group. Dodging and weaving out of the way, one catches Snake, but the rest are avoided. As Tyrannus approaches Vance, avoiding traps along the way, Snake summons 5 scorching rays, all hitting Vance with immense heat and force. Not expecting a fledgling thief to have such power, he calls out to Alfredo for help, as the two once again throw additional daggers at the team, striking Tyus and Zamir and missing Snake. Tyrannus and now Tyus creep closer to Vance. Snake's rage continues to boil over as he fires a second volley of raids towards him, hitting him again. As Alfredo pleads to Vance to give up, Vance charges at Snake, determined to take him out whether he lives or dies. As he does, Tyrannus swipes at his legs, knocking him down to the ground. Bruised and battered and unable to stand, Vance tells Snake it was nothing personal, and that he was collateral damage for saving himself and Alfredo. Snake looks at him and repeats, nothing personal, as he casts Burning Hand and burns Vance alive. Seeing this, Alfredo, now in tears, begs to stop and drops his weapons. Asking for privacy, Snake has the group go topside, and while he tells Alfredo to leave and never return. Hearing this, when returning to the group, they disagree with his choice. They head downstairs. Alfredo nowhere to be found, they look around the room. Zamir and Tyrannus' nose lead them to a tunnel behind the stone throne, and ultimately locate Alfredo through a network of tunnels. Bringing him back to Ciro, they, along with Alfredo's confession, tell them all of what happened. Convinced this is enough to arrest Rayhan, Ciro, his guards, and the group all march towards his estate. Seeing the guards, Rayhan comes out and tells his guards not to interfere. He smiles at Ciro and tells him he did, in fact, collude with Vance. Shocked, Ciro asks why.
For the good of Haven, Rayhan replies. What good leader wouldn't make that deal?
To stamp out an entire thieves guild in one night? Think about it. Within the last 4 months, this city has seen tremendous growth. No longer do merchants have to worry about their goods missing. No longer do our citizens have to fear losing their hard-earned coin. If you wish to persecute me for that, then I ask for a trial by governors." Hearing this, Zero orders the guards to take Raihan and treat him fairly. He tells the group that a trial by governors requires each governor of Minima to meet here within 2 weeks and weigh verdict. He asks them to travel to Nenbadir and request the audience of Anadela Copperspine. Knowing there's a gate in Nenbadir, the group agrees. Arriving at Nenbadir a few days later, they enter the industrious city filled with smoke and fire and the sound of loud shouts and even louder clangs as swords, armor, and other weapons are being made. Though not wanting to be bothered by outsiders, Anadela tells the group that they have their own problems to rectify. Over the past week, one of their new mines have been closed, trapping miners inside, and any teams sent to rescue them have not come back. Knowing they need to finally put the issue at Merchant's Haven to rest, and because this is D&D after all, the group decides to plunge into the mine. As they traverse the winding path, they see beautiful purple crystals, which Anadela told them to look out for. It's the sole purpose of digging in this mine to begin with, as these crystals offer the opportunity to enhance weapons. Grabbing these crystals as they come across them, the group also finds the missing miners, as well as the teams sent to rescue them. All dead, smashed to bits, flung against walls and barely recognizable. As they continue to make their way around the mine, Tyus flashes his eyes open and looks upon a gate. With no monsters around, he begins to close. Closing it quickly and noticing his power is beginning to grow, the group gets ready to make their way out of the cave. As they do, the walls and floors around them begin to rumble and shake. Rocks loosen and dirt kicks up as 2 earth elementals appear before them. Snake immediately casts lightning, which fires along the cave floor and hits one of the elementals directly, shooting debris in all directions. Tyus attacks the other elemental, and as he swings and connects, covering the monster in bright light. As he backs up, the elemental chases him and erupts with a thunderous boom, causing more debris to fly throughout the cave. A combination of attacks from Tyrannus and Zamir whittle down one of the earth elementals, while the other staggers towards Snake. It's at this time another sound is heard erupting from the wall. An Umber Hulk chitters as it approaches Tyrannus. Now caught in a 1v1 with the beast, the other 3 work to take the final earth elemental down. Erupting his sword in flame and searing with white-hot intensity, Tyrannus displays his full draconic nature, besting the beast in single combat. Taking a breath, he whispers to the flame, "Yolos," which causes the flames to dissipate. A loud thud is heard behind him as the second earth elemental is defeated. Pleased with their work, the group heads out of the mine and informs Copperspine of what has transpired. Thanking them, she lets them know they will all head out tomorrow and make for Merchant's Haven. Following the events of the day, the group again dream of a connected event. Images splatter together quickly but vividly. They see a world, similar to their own, one where a chaotic whirlpool spins about the ocean. They see 3 friends overlooking a grave, holding a compass which points to the middle of the ocean. They see Statera and these friends in a similar place they've been to, one overlooking the world, but another where souls of the recently departed are given rebirth. They see a large beast coming out of a gate, one made of pure fire and anger and hate, with its only purpose to destroy life. And finally, they see this group of heroes, seemingly given powers of light that help drive it back, sealing the gate in the process. Waking up, they feel chaos growing stronger, and realize they'll need more help if they want to protect this world. This concludes our final recap episode, detailing the events of Session 15 through Session 24. Hope you've enjoyed this little mini-series and summary of our current campaign, The Balance Within. Stay tuned for our next episode, which will be our first actual play session. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.